Hey guys, welcome to Jablam Hockey. I'm your host, Peter Wojernov. Again, you can catch me on Twitter at Russian98. I'm with
Paul Zwombag. Hey everybody, you can catch me at my last name at Zwombag, Zwambag. How's it going, everyone?
So, first we're going to remind listeners that we usually post on Tuesday and Thursday night. Might not be perfect this week, but we'll be close enough. And you can catch us on our new Facebook group. Again, Jablam Hockey. Check it out. As well on Twitter. We added a Twitter account at Jablam Hockey. And again, you can always catch us on iTunes and Podomatic. Just type in Jablam Hockey. We'll be right there. We're going to go straight into Forbes list because the Leafs are not number one. Why aren't the Leafs number one on the business of hockey in value?
Does it have anything to do with the product on ice? Maybe?
Paul, come on.
Well,
it doesn't have anything to do with the product. We're the center of hockey. We're Toronto. We should be number one in everything in hockey.
Oh, jeez. Well,
Leafs,
you're not number one in standings, so...
yeah, I guess. But we're number one in terms of the center of hockey universe. So, again, if you look at last year's values, Leafs were 1.4 in value, $1.4 billion in value. And we've dropped 12%, apparently, according to Forbes, to third place. Leafs aren't even in second, they're third.
Yeah, but the two teams above them, the New York Rangers in first and the Montreal Canadiens, they got pretty solid markets too, and they got a lot of money to be spent, so...
They've increased a lot. Montreal has increased 18% to 1.175, and the Rangers at 1.2 billion, a 9% increase. So it's a huge increase for both teams. And you think it's only because of the play on the ice?
Yeah, I guess so. The Rangers and the Canadiens have had pretty good seasons back to back to back to back. Maple Leafs haven't really iced a good team in a while. And last year was pretty low. You have to admit, Peter, it was pretty low.
Yeah, the second half was pretty rough.
Yeah.
You know what? Doesn't matter. Leafs should be number one. Doesn't matter. Again, if you look at the top teams, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rangers, Canadiens, Leafs, Hawks, and Bruins. All a part of the original 6.
Yeah, where's the last original 6 on that list?
8th. The Red Wings. The Rings, they're right there. And Philadelphia's been there for almost ever as well. So again, the Canucks are just in there in 6th, but otherwise it's pretty crazy. Original 6, keeping strong in the Forbes list. So let's go into season awards. Me and Paul have created a quarter of the season awards, what we think are the top for the regular season awards. And we're going to go to, let's start lower on the list and among the awards and go straight to the rookies.
All right.
What'd you have for the rookies?
I had the top 4, Artemi Panarin, Dylan Larkin, Max Domi, and Colton Parayko as a dark horse in there.
Funny thing is, we both didn't look at each other's lists, and we have pretty much the exact same list. I had Domi first, Parayko second, Panarin, and then I had Larkin.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So
Domi, first of all, go with Domi above and beyond. He's been outstanding. There's no stopping this kid, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's playing pretty good, and he doesn't have much to play with. Like, his line mates are not nearly as good as Panarin or Larkin, but I just think Panarin is having an outstanding year. He just looks so good.
We'll have to go back, of course, when we go to the MVP, of course, because Panarin's playing with an MVP potential character.
Yeah.
So I got him third because of that.
Yeah, I guess so. If you look at it that way, the guy who's really fallen off is Parayko. He had an outstanding start to the season, and I think it had a lot to do with Kevin Shattenkirk, who was out, and he was getting all his ice time. And now Shattenkirk's back, and I think that offensive role that he was getting is now going to Shattenkirk. So I think Parayko's going to slowly slide down the rookie list. But
So
it's
he's
nice.
more on the third pairing right now.
I believe he's on the third pairing now. Yeah.
Yeah, so that will hurt him a bit, but he's been playing well so far.
Yeah, and he's losing his power play time because Kevin Shattenkirk's obviously getting it over Parayko. And so I
Yeah,
think Parayko's going to slide off that list. And it's crazy that McDavid and Eichel are not on our rookie list at the quarter mark.
Eichel came out of the gate flaming. This
Yeah,
guy was on fire,
yeah,
and Buffalo not doing too well. It's gonna slow him down.
yeah. And there's been a lot of injuries there, so I think that's affected his play too. He's getting a lot of different line mates. Bilesma's had to mix up those lines a lot, so not having that steady guy like Panarin's had Kane, Larkin's had Zetterberg. Those two guys, you start building chemistry this early, so I think Eichel's had a problem with the injuries. So
And again, we had Larkin, so I would say Domi was number one so far. Parayko's been close. You got Panarin a little high, and then we also have Larkin.
yeah,
Larkin's playing really well.
yeah, I think he's building chemistry with Zetterberg big time. Those two are flying out on the ice.
Leading the team with 10 goals, 3 game winners. See, he's playing really well. He's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, Panarin's technically an overaged rookie. Like, yeah, I think he's 25, so the cutoff's
He's
26, I believe.
he's
So
right on the border.
yeah, so he just fit in under the stipulations. So he's the older rookie of this rookie group. So
Yeah. Next, the Frank J. Selke defensive forward. I tried to use NHL.com, and it's amazing. Statistically, it's amazing. It's a little finicky to use because you're trying to look at specifics.
yeah, and
But
I
go ahead.
I want to cut you off there before you start diving into the NHL.com being amazing. I've heard that their stats are not 100%
Hmm.
accurate. Like when all the other sites like War on Ice and Behind the Net and stats analysis and or hockey stats analysis, they seem to be a little more 100% accurate. So I don't know if NHL.com is the most accurate, but I like to go to it. I'm sure there's a lot
Are
of
you trying to say that NHL.com is a much less accurate than these War on Ice
yeah,
sites?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
do.
are, eh?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk in the stats groups or stats nerds that have been just ripping NHL.com for
Wow.
their misaccuracy, but I think they obviously outsource it. I think they outsource it to SAP. I think is SAP. I think it is. So
Hmm.
I don't know what the deal is there. If they're going to fix it or if they're just going to leave it, or if I don't even know if the stats guys are calling them out on it. But yeah, I normally look at NHL.com quite often as well.
Yeah. So your list, you got the studs. Name them.
My Frank Selke nominations at the quarter mark are Jonathan Taves, Claude Giroux, Mikko Koivu, and Ryan Kessler. I know
Okay, so
there's a
you
big
got the leaders.
yeah,
You
and
got the leaders. You got the big guys. Go
yeah, and
ahead.
there's a big name left off that normally is in the Selke talk. That's Patrice Bergeron, and I left him off my list. That's
Yeah.
that.
Well, he's been good offensively at least.
Yeah,
So maybe. Yeah.
and I want to ask you a question. This was the big debate that I had with the Selke. All the other ones, you kind of know what the stipulations are, what the NHL looks for to make
Yeah. I'm
these
not
picks.
I'm not with the NHL usually on this list. But go ahead.
Yeah, so how do you decide your Selke nominations? What
I
did
go
you really look for?
I go specifics. My list is very short, also because I couldn't look at the depth stats. But I go for straight defensive forwards. I'm not looking for guys that are putting up 20, 30 points. I'm
No.
looking at guys that are on the PK all the time. Teams that are good on the PK. So I only got two. I got Ryan Kessler. This team is leading the league on the penalty kill. He's eating up all the time on the penalty kill, leading the league. I think he's like fourth best of ice time, 68 minutes total on the ice time, 55% on faceoffs. How could you not name this guy one of the best defensive forwards?
Yeah, then I obviously agree with you. I put him fourth. So yeah, what are your other guys?
And you know what? I tried to go deep, but I couldn't. The only other guy I really have on my list is an underrated Detroit Red Wing, Luke Glendening.
Oh, wow.
This guy, yes, he's fourth. I believe the team is fourth best on the PK. He's first on ice time on the PK. He has fourth best in block shots in the NHL, and he's still 53% on faceoffs.
Yeah. So you really look at the penalty kills and special teams there for that, right?
You know, it's defensive forward, in my opinion. He's got to play on the PK. He's got to do a good job on the PK. And Luke Glendening is it.
Yeah, so I went a little more in depth, and that's why I came up with the my four guys. That so I looked at face-off win percent, and I didn't just make that decision, and that's why Jonathan Taves is up there. He's at 59.5% face-off win. I think he's leading the league right now. But I also went with defensive zone starts because that really shows
Nice.
from a coach where guys are being
You
used.
where you trust the guy in the defensive zone makes sense.
Yeah, if you like Ryan Kessler, you said is on the PK a lot. He has 111 defensive zone starts compared
Wow.
to Jonathan Taves at just 90. So Kessler's obviously getting more defensive zone starts, and that shows
Yeah.
that Boudreau is giving him the defensive zone starts like that when they need a face-off win in their own end, he's putting Kessler out there most likely. So that's where I saw the Frank J. Selke. And I looked at last year Bergeron. He led the league in face-off win
Oh,
percentage. So I think they really look at that stat to define their Frank J. Selke. So I hope they kind of go out on a limb and not just put Bergeron, Dasuk, and another
yeah.
guy.
The
So
usual guys, but
yeah, I hope they look more into it and start picking guys that haven't won it yet.
it's the NHL. They
Yeah,
won't. They'll
yeah,
go a bit more points, high caliber guys
yeah,
that also do a bit defensive.
yeah.
So let's move on. The Lady Bing, not a huge award that a lot of people care about, but more defensive minded sportsman like players.
Yeah, and
I think we pretty much have a similar list.
and
We have Sagan first, right?
yeah, yeah, and
He's
that's
got a lot.
basically he's top of the league in points and very little penalty minutes. So clearly he's a good sportsman. And I saw that he had such little penalty minutes, and I was like, how does Sagan have so low and Ben so high? But I thought Sagan was a little more of a gritty, dirty guy, but I guess not. I guess I'm not watching him enough.
Ben's a bit more of a power forward type guy.
Yeah,
He'll fight if the team needs him to fight as well and stuff like that. So he deserves it. He's up there. I got Panarin up there because he's
really.
still putting up points
Yeah,
and he's not a bit of a gritty guy at all. He's not fighting hard for the puck. He's just making sure he's a good playmaker.
yeah. That's good. Who are your other guys?
I think we both have Jeff Carter. And again, he puts up points and he makes very few penalty minutes. And then my other guy, I have Matt Hoffman.
Nice.
He's doing really well for the Senators. And I think he only has one penalty all season.
That's impressive. Good. My four guys, again, we mentioned Henrik Sedin. He's putting up points with his brother and not many penalty minutes. Jeff Carter, we already talked about. And Louis Eriksson was my fourth guy that I put on the list.
So basically, we both pick Sagan to lead the Lady Bing.
Yeah.
All right, here's a fun one. Who is the best goalie so far in the NHL today in this season? The Vesna. I think we both picked Lundqvist.
Yeah.
Lundqvist is beyond amazing.
Yeah.
This
King
guy
Hank.
is he's huge for the Rangers.
Yeah, and they're giving up a lot of shots. The other day, he lit up the team. How upset he was. They won the game, but he was upset at how they play. He is such a leader in that dressing room, and man, he when he gets fired up, he just turns it up a notch. He is just unbelievable. He's the reason why I watch Rangers games, big time.
He's exciting to watch. That's a huge thing too. Usually, sometimes there's old school goalies a little bit boring, a little Brodeur because he's so good in framing himself for shots. But Lundqvist, he makes the regular saves and he makes outstanding saves.
Yeah,
Another hidden guy, like I don't know why a lot of people don't talk about him much, but he was pretty good last year, and he's good again. We both have him. Braden Holtby, this guy is good.
oh, he's so good. He's He's excellent. I think it helps that Barry Trotz is his coach because look at what happened in Nashville with Pekka Rinne. He's an excellent goalie too, but I think the Barry Trotz system, he really helps out a goalie big time.
Yeah, their defense is playing a lot better. They added some good players on the back end, of course. Some good defensive-minded veterans. So they're a good team.
Yeah. Who else you got on your list?
For mine, a little bit different than yours. I didn't go with Price just because he doesn't have enough games for me to put him in this ranking. It's only quarter of the season. Most of these guys have played, like the teams have played about 22 games. Most of these guys on our list have played, you know, 15 to 20 games. So I couldn't go with Carey Price. I went with Jake Allen. He's playing amazing. 11 wins, 4 losses last time I checked. Great save percentage. He is getting a little help from the D, and that is the reference to my fourth pick, of course, James Reimer.
Oh, jeez. On the
He's
Reimer
got to be my
train.
fourth pick. Come on, goals against average. He's up there with everybody. 2.07 last time I checked. 7 wins, 3 losses. You can't give him, obviously you can't compare. He hasn't played as many games as the other guys. But again, save percentage, .934. And his team defense isn't as good as the other teams. So how could he not be in the top 3, 4 goalies?
Yeah, I guess so. I can't put him there.
You didn't want to. Who did you
No.
go with?
I went with for number 3, Carey Price, like you named. I think even though his injury, he's going to be out a long time. Montreal, I don't know if Condon can hold up, but Carey Price is.
He's a great goalie.
Yeah, he's a great goalie. I don't even know how many wins he has, but he is just having a great. Yeah, every time he's playing, he's given Montreal a chance to win. So
Yeah, he only had 12 games played, so I couldn't put him in my list.
fair enough. And Corey Schneider, I think the main reason New Jersey is where they are in the standings is because of Corey Schneider. So I think he deserves a Vezina nomination.
Yeah, so we both have Lundqvist, Holtby 1 and 2. Next, we go to the guys right in front of the goalies for the Norris, the James Norris, the best defenseman. How can you not name Klingberg as the number 1 best defenseman in the league right now? I don't know how you can't.
When I was making this list, when you said that we were doing season awards at the quarter mark, I flipped those two. I flipped Klingberg and Carlson back and forth. I don't know how many times, and I guess I landed on Klingberg as well with you, and he just looks fantastic. But I think Carlson gets more hype because of what he's done before and the team he plays on. Klingberg has a lot of talent playing with him. Carlson, not nearly as much. So I think, see, now I want to put Carlson in first just because it's going to flip flop probably the entire year unless Klingberg falls off, but I don't think he's going to.
Klingberg is solid. He just started playing. He's still young.
Yeah.
And how well is he playing? This is outstanding. He's leading in points. He's a +10. He's outstanding in my opinion. It's amazing what he's done.
Yeah. Who else you got on the list there, Peter?
For me, I went with Subban as number 2 just because of the Price injury and just because of how well Montreal has played offensively and fairly well defensively. PK Subban is solid, +11 on the back end, still putting up points, setting up his offensive players, and he's leading the team because a guy like Price is out and he's still doing his job. The other one, again, we both went, and he was my third pick. He was your second pick, Erik Karlsson. He's been solid. I had him third on the Norris, but again, we'll talk about it a little bit later. I have him pretty high for the MVP.
Oh, little teaser.
That's right.
Wow.
But you know what? Maybe I should have had him even higher because he's eating up 27 minutes a game and he's still putting up points. He's doing a great job for them.
Yeah. And to round off your 4, who's number 4?
I had to go off a little bit and go with an offensive stud in Chewbacca, Brent Burns. Come on.
Yeah.
This guy has 9 goals. He's putting up so many points on the power play. And a lot of people don't look at it. And again, he's eating up a lot of minutes. He's way up there in like the top 5, 6 defensemen in ice time. Not only is he putting up a lot of points and 9 goals, he's also eating up a lot of ice time and helping out his team for D.
Yeah, good choice. I left him off my list.
Who else did you have?
So I went. I really like the Norris Trophy debate of
Mm,
offense to defensive defensemen. They're
yep,
always offensive, and I think it was because Bobby Orr went on his huge run of wins. But
yep,
then you look at later in years, Nicholas Lidstrom won a whole bunch, and he wasn't always offensive. So I kind of went with guys that put up points and could still play a great defensive game. So my first two are Klingberg and Carlson, and they flip-flopped about 30 times on my list. And then I went with Ryan Suter from Minnesota Wild. This kid eats minutes. He just
yep.
he's always on the ice. He never gets off the ice. It's ridiculous.
I've watched him play, and if he could, he would play the full 60.
Oh yeah, and he just never stops. And Duncan Keith always got talked up last year in the playoffs about never coming off the ice and playing so many minutes. And Ryan Suter is above and beyond Duncan Keith's ice time. So I got him number three, and he still puts up points. He's a,
Yep.
he's a he's a silent guy that puts up points that nobody really talks about. He's not flashy. He just plays a solid defensive game.
I was thinking also about picking Seabrook. He's playing a pretty solid, under the radar season so far.
Yeah, I got him in my number four spot. So
For you, it's
he
good.
he kept the defensive core going in Chicago when Duncan Keith went down. So yeah, Duncan Keith's probably a better defenseman, but we're at the quarter mark, and Brent Seabrook has been there every game, and he deserves a number four for me.
All right, next we'll go to GM of the year. This is a little tricky pick. It's only quarter mark, but you kind of have to play the off season / the quarter mark, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So I went with what you went as well, and you got to go with Jim Neal with what he's done with the Dallas Stars so far.
Yeah, he went out and got Sharp and can't think of his name. I'm having a brain fart, Peter. The other defenseman.
The other, Johnny Oduya?
Yeah, there you go. He went out and got those two, and he stole them from Chicago. Chicago had to relieve some cap space, so Jim Nill decided, well, they've won a couple cups. They got some rings on their fingers. Let's put them on my team. And
Yeah, so
he's building a solid team.
overall, I'd say we both went with Dallas, Sharp, Oduya, and then bringing in Niemi. I think we both talked about this before. This is a great move.
Yeah, he's changed the way that GMs are starting to look at goalies. If you don't have an elite like a Vezina winning goalie, then go out and get two guys that can put up good stats and play them both. Instead of playing a goalie for 75 games or 70 games, play split 41-41 or 42-40. Like both of those goalies can stop a puck. So why
Great
not?
move.
Why not have them both? They're spending a lot of money, but if you have Lundqvist or Price, you're spending a lot of money anyways. So why
Yeah.
not? Why not put it in two goalies?
Over the last few years, of course, bringing in Spezza for a depth, good scoring person. Of course, the Tyler Seguin trade is amazing.
Yeah. He's found some great trade deals. He's building a team through trades. It's impressive.
My number one so far, in my opinion, is the Caps GM, McClellan. He's done a great job. He's bringing in Justin Game 7 Williams, bringing TJ Oshie, of course,
Oh,
through the trade. Great move. And then, of course, re-signing Kuznetsov, who's playing amazing so far.
oh yeah. He's incredible.
And then, of course, he's re-signed Holpe, who's been playing Vezina caliber hockey. And, of course, Johansson. Johansson's been playing well for them as well. I don't know how this guy, in my opinion, I had him number one. He's done a great job for these Caps, especially this current off-season and start to this season.
Yeah, agreed. I got him as my number four. So clearly we somewhat agree.
Who else did you have?
So Jim Nill, previously named as my number one. My number two, where Jim Nill is stealing all his guys, Stan Bowman. He just keeps retooling. The guy just, I don't know what his scouting team is unbelievable because he's finding Artemi Panarin out of nowhere. Like,
Where did you find this guy? How does he do it? I
oh, it's
don't
ridiculous.
know.
It's ridiculous. And they signed
Wow.
so many KHL guys and they bring them over because they have a top caliber team. So why not come over and play?
He
And
didn't do this before, but he done it this season with Tikhonov and Panarin. Panarin's worked out so far for them, and hopefully Tikhonov maybe in the future.
yeah, and they like Teravainen. Where did they get that guy from? Like it's impressive what he's been building and how many guys has he sent out the door and been like, sorry, we got our core, and I think that's where he built a core. He's got his Taves, Kane, Keith, Seabrook,
The
Crawford.
Se- the Seabrook thing is ridiculous. How does he re-up Seabrook for that contract?
Yeah,
What a move!
yeah, he's learned something from his father,
Outstanding.
that's for sure.
He gets Roosevelt for a cheap contract just to bring him in to solidify the back end on the top six for the D. Even the trade for Anisimov and Dano for Sod. It's a solid move. You know you might not be able to sign Sod, especially to a long term contract, and you get that kind of back with
Yeah,
Anisimov and Dano. And Dano's not working out so well so far, but he's still young and he has good potential. And Anisimov is playing well so far.
and it's crazy because they're two guys that he can just send out the door in 2 to 3, 4 years. Like he just keeps refreshing the third line, fourth line, second line fill-ins. It's impressive what he does. Yeah, I can't figure out how he does it. So
And
I had him at number two on my
I had
list.
him at number three as well. And then who else did you have?
Mark Bergevin from
Hmm.
Montreal. This guy dresses so. His press conferences, he dresses amazing. He
So you love him because of his press conferences or because of his
no,
moves?
no. I saw a press conference the other day, and he didn't wear the normal suit and tie. He had like a turtleneck on, and I was like, that you don't see that very often out of a GM. Like I think Brian Burke could learn a thing from him that if you don't like ties, don't wear a tie. Like,
All right, all right.
but he's
But
he's
moves wise,
he's built a solid team, and like he brought in Alexander Semin for I think 1 million or 2 million, and
it's not working out so far
it
though.
hasn't worked. But it's only 1 million or 2 million. Like he can move him anytime he wants, probably, or just waive him. Like Montreal's got that option.
Yeast is playing really well.
Oh, Yeast. Who's Yeast?
You know who it is. It's Thomas Fleischman.
Oh, jeez. I think we're gonna have to put up on our Facebook why you call Thomas Fleischman yeast.
Fleischman yeast. Have you gone shopping and needed yeast? You're gonna go with Fleischman. It's the number one.
Yeah, all the listeners out there are like, "What are you talking about, Peter?" Well, head to our Facebook and we'll put up a picture of what Peter's talking about.
All
Damn,
right.
damn yeast. Have to listen to it every other day
I
from you.
don't. I don't have Montreal on there, and in my opinion, again, bringing in Fleischman yeast was a good move. Salmon hasn't worked out well, but I will say bringing in Petrie and relocking him, that was a good move.
Yeah, yeah, solidifies that back end.
My number four was LA Kings in their GM, and I think they did a pretty good job. And it shows so far in the standings that they've done a good job. Brandon Lucic has really helped a physical element in the top, 2 3 lines,
Yeah,
and re-signing Tyler Toffoli.
yeah,
He's out. This guy is out really under the radar. Maybe he should be talked about a little bit more, but he's playing really well for the Kings.
yeah, yes, yeah. I really like Toffoli.
And then there's Christian Ehrhoff again, a low contract, low term contract, and he's filling in on the back end. So I have him at number four. But again, we have similar picks in terms of number one and two. I would say it would be Dallas number one, and Washington Capitals, I would say, would be number two, and then Chicago on the third.
Yeah, nice.
Next, let's go to the Jack Adams Trophy, the Coach of the Year. I think we both also have Dallas, Lindy Ruff, he's doing a great job with these guys so far.
Oh, Dallas is having such a good start to a year. They have swept our top trophy list, I think, right now. So yeah, they Lindy Ruff has put well, he's got talent, so I don't know if it has much to do with Lindy Ruff, but he's keeping those guys going. So
So well, so soon. That
yeah,
that has a lot to do with coaching.
yeah,
10 wins and 2 losses, one overtime loss away. That's pretty outstanding.
yeah, yeah, and he's he must be doing something in the dressing room to keep Sagan and Ben going every single night. They never take a day off. They never take a shift off. They are always humming. So I think that has a lot to do with the coach because a lot of these superstars they kind of start coasting if they're having like if they need a break. But these guys they never stop. It's impressive.
They had a lot of problems with Sagan in Boston, but he has been outstanding and playing better and better every game under Ruff.
Yeah, and do you think it has a lot to do with the media? Like I don't think Dallas Stars have nearly the scrutiny media like Boston
Like
does.
like a big market six original six team, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why Philadelphia had so many big problems with their guys too. So I think the media can sometimes not be a good thing. Take note, Toronto. That's a big one. The media.
It's hard to do with a big market like this with everybody peering in. But who else did you have on the list?
My number two, I had John Hines from the New Jersey Devils. I'm a Penguins fan, so he was a Wilkes-Barre Scranton coach, and we got rid of him, but he's more of a Ray Shero guy. John
Ah,
Hines.
that's why. That's why.
Yeah, John Hines he did so well in Wilkes-Barre and moving to New Jersey. How is this team doing so well? Like the roster is not that great, but he's figuring it out and putting lines together, and I think he deserves a nominee for Jack Adams.
Well, yeah, I guess Corey Schneider's playing really well. But who else did you have on the list?
Number three, I had Barry Trotz. We already talked about his system in Washington. And my number four, John Tortorella. Since coming in,
Wow.
he has turned the Blue Jackets into that energy team that they had last year at the end of the year. I think he is doing great things. I'm not too happy with what he's doing with Ryan Johansson, talking about not being a great all-around player, but maybe that's his way of getting him motivated. John Tortorella, I think, deserves a four spot on the Jack Adams list.
Wow. I couldn't put him up there just because he hasn't coached that many games. We both have Lindy Ruff at the top. And then I went very different from you. I have in my number two spot, I have Dave Tippett. How has he turned this team around so quickly with such a young team, bringing all these rookies in? It's been pretty outstanding. They're a playoff team. They're still playing well. This is
Yeah,
outstanding.
yeah, I left him off my list. I kind of feel jealous that you put him there.
Yeah, they're still playing well. It's outstanding. The other one, I don't think a lot of people had them picked to be a playoff team, but the Senators are in the playoffs. They're playing well. Dave Cameron has to be there.
Yeah, that's a good pick too. There's a lot of good coaches out there. Like looking through the teams list, and it's just like there's a lot of coaches that aren't even coaching that are good coaches, and
That's for
it's
sure too. But what Cameron has done with the Senators and their goaltending hasn't been that great this year, but they're still playing a good system and they're eating out wins.
yeah, yeah,
So that's solid. And then my fourth pick, because I don't think the Habs did that well to make their team that much better. And of course, with Price being injured, I still think Michel Therrien has done a good job in Montreal. And wow, like they're above and beyond any other team, in my opinion, in the NHL right now. It's outstanding what they have done.
yeah. And you can't even say that Price is just winning them games because they're winning with Mike Condon. Like
Yeah.
they're winning with Mike Condon. How is that this still happening? Like we talked about
What?
Condon the other day that he's got to start falling off. He's got to hit a wall, but
He's
hasn't.
not.
He's not, and he's been given the reins to this team for another 6 weeks.
He,
It's crazy.
he's still helping them win games. This is outstanding. These have fans. They're not fans of Terrian. I don't know why. Like, what are they expecting? Like some god to come in and coach this team? No, this guy is creating a good system. He's had problems with certain players coming in and out of the lineup. Price has been injured so far this season, and they're still winning so many games. This team is amazing under Terrian. This is good.
Yeah, and the Tyrion was at Pittsburgh, and he had the same problem. He was such a good coach, and just out of nowhere, the fans jumped on him like he was the worst coach ever. And it's like he's not that bad of a coach. Like I think he's hard on his players, and that's why the fans aren't a big fan of him. But he's a good coach. He's clearly doing something right.
So first, of course, who is leading in the Rocket Richard Trophy?
The Rocket Richard Trophy. I don't know who's leading, Peter.
I think it's Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn is killing it with goals.
Oh man, he's
He,
helps he's playing with Sagan. It's unbelievable.
then we go to the other trophy, the Jennings.
Yeah, who's the Jennings right now?
Right now we have it, of course, with the goals against per team. They're both tied with Lundqvist and Quick. They're both tied for the Jennings.
Yeah, at 50 goals against. That's impressive.
And the Art Ross, the best player to ever play American-born Patrick Kane.
His point streak, point game streak. Ah, that was tough to say. His, it's incredible. He took over the longest streak from with American Born. So good on him, Patrick Kane.
He's
He's
leading the Art Ross with points. This guy is outstanding. Of course, we both have him for the heart. The MVP, Patrick Kane. How can you not name him MVP? His team has had injuries. You know, it's huge transition with so many guys leaving the team in the offseason. Duncan Keats injured. Sharp, Oduya, left and right guys are leaving. And this guy is playing with two guys he's never heard of.
yeah. How did
Anisimov coming from Columbus. Panarin, who is this guy from the KHL? I don't know. But I'm going to kill the NHL.
how do you think the NHL feels that Patrick Kane is the leading scorer right now? So how
I
much?
don't care how the NHL cares. This guy's outstanding. Mr. Showtime is amazing. You watch this guy. He takes the pants out of every player on the ice.
I know, but with all the controversy that happened in the off season, don't you think the NHL are like, let's get those stars up there. Come on, Ben. Come on, Sagan. Let's outscore this kid. Like, we don't need this guy as the face of the league right now.
I don't care.
No, me either.
Mr.
He's awesome.
Showtime is way too exciting to be stopped. How many good backhands? How many good backhands in the NHL can you even name?
Sidney Crosby.
Crosby has a good backhand, yes. Datsuk has a good backhand. And where are they right now in the season so far?
Yeah.
They're invisible.
Hitting a soft spot on me, Peter. But Patrick Kane, yeah, he's unreal. Who do you got?
Oh my God.
Who do you got runner up? Because clearly Patrick
Oh,
Kane's.
I want to go on this tangent right here. 11 goals, 19 points in the last 19 games. Best U.S. American NHL born player ever. This guy is outstanding. I love this guy. And I will say this first. I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, no, because nobody knew if he was even going to play in all the controversy that happened in the off season. So
That's
he,
true too.
as
But
as a big fantasy guy, he fell in a lot of drafts because nobody knew if he was even going to play. Like,
a lot of people were thinking the Hawks are going to trade this guy. Lots of rumors. Hawks are going to trade this guy.
yeah, imagine if they did. Oh man,
Oh my God! But they weren't. They can't trade the Golden Kid. He's been outstanding. He's been outstanding every year, pretty much in the playoffs, but never this good during the season. So that's why I didn't see it coming. And wow, he deserves it. MVP so far for sure.
yeah,
And then again, the next one, I think it's a bit of a steep drop, but he's been good in my opinion. I've got Erik Karlsson number 2.
really, wow.
Yep. I went with Erik Karlsson because their goaltending hasn't been the greatest. He's still putting up so many points. 26 points a game last time I checked. 27 minutes a game. He's up there in like the best. He's been outstanding. He's leading the league in many categories up there. Second in D-men in points. Of course, Klinberg is number one because he's got Ben, he's got Sagan. This guy's outstanding. Senators are up there because of Carlson.
So I'm going to call you out on this one. So you got
Yeah.
Klingberg to win the Norris,
Yeah.
but you don't have him to win the Hart
That's right. And that's exactly what
above
I was getting at.
Carlson.
Because as a defensive player, I still think Carlson is the best. But as a team MVP winning you games, Carlson's number one.
Oh,
Is a difference in that. Klingberg has Sagan. He has Ben. He's been outstanding defensively. He doesn't need to do everything. Carlson has done everything.
so
And and
oh,
in terms of the overall, all of the ice, team, leadership, everything, that's why I have him as an MVP. And that's why I have Carlson as number one in Norris.
all right. Do you know the last defenseman to win the Hart Trophy? Come on.
I don't know. The last defenseman, if it's going way back, it's Bobby Orr.
Yeah, he's not the last one to win it, but yeah, he won it 3 straight years. So,
Of course. Who's the last one?
Chris Pronger,
Wow.
1999-2000 with the Blues.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
Pronger was pretty
impressive.
solid.
Yeah, crazy.
Who'd you have for MVP other
So
than after Kane?
Kane, large gap to Henrik Lundqvist. This guy
Mhm.
is carrying the Rangers. They need him. If he went down, it would not be the same as Price going down. I don't think Ranta would be able to carry Lundqvist's load. But Henrik Lundqvist is clearly the MVP of the Rangers, so I think he's got to be up there in the league. So
I
that's my
had him as well, and he was my third pick. Best
nice.
goalie in NHL so far. Best team, obviously, goals against average. He is outstanding.
All right, so who was your number 4 on your list?
I only had three. I
Oh,
couldn't even
okay.
go for. I know what you wanted to do, and that's what I was. My backup was your
So my
three.
3-4 was Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, and that's why you didn't pick a fourth. You couldn't pick between the two, could you?
It's an MVP caliber. You got to lead the team by yourself, not as a Ben Sagan and Klingberg.
You can still be a most valuable player if your team is stacked. That's how I see it. And I had this. I always debated this back when Crosby and Malkin were always at the top, and they never got picked for Hart because they played together. They're on the same team, so how can one be a Hart MVP? And it's like, just because your team's good doesn't mean you don't get to be the best in the league or the most
It's
valuable in the league. Like,
it's so tough to pick though. It's so tough to pick. They're leading as a team by example, so it's a tough one.
yeah. I would if I had to pick one of the two. I don't think I could pick one or the other. That's a tough decision.
All right, so Paul, we've done the season awards. Check out our picks. We're gonna put them on Facebook and Twitter. Let's go to our fantasy picks, ups and downs. What do you got, Paul?
Oh, geez, does anybody even want to hear them? I've just been killing people's rosters. Like, it's just not been good. But I'm gonna fight through it. Fantasy is all about fighting through and keep
Paul,
playing.
last week you told me to put Verbata on the bench or on the back bench. He scored 2 goals for me last week on the bench.
Yeah, I know. I did the same thing, and I was looking for him to move him into my dynasty, but my dynasty is a deep league, and there was nothing on free agency, so I had him on the bench too. I didn't drop him, but I'm gonna try and do better. I am sorry, everybody.
You've still made some good picks so far. So who do you got for us this week?
All right, this week I'm going more. I looked deeper into guys that are being promoted into the lineup, into the first line power play units, and I'm gonna start with Elias Lindholm. He's playing with Eric Stahl. He's playing with Victor Rask, who is also getting hot. If you can get Victor Rask as well, he's a good pickup too. It's on the top power play unit with these two, so they're playing for the first line and power play, which is going to build their chemistry real quick. He has
How's their
points.
plus minus?
The past 2 weeks, he's +3, Elias Lindholm, which
Pretty
is,
good for that team, yeah.
yeah, for the Hurricanes, yeah. And in his last 5 games, he's got points in the last 5 games, and he's shooting way more, and that's helping him. He's got 5 points in the last. Well, he's played six
Nice.
games in 2 weeks, but in the last 5 games, he's got 5 points. He is moving up. I only own 4%, so if you can get him, it's a center, so their centers are really deep. So I I wasn't sure if I wanted to let everybody know to pick him up, but I think he's gonna. If he sticks with Stahl and Rask, those three are looking really good together right now.
Who else?
All right, since their center's so deep, I wanted to find a winger. Teddy Purcell is playing with Hall and Draisaitl, and we know how good Draisaitl is playing right now. So
They moved him up, eh?
they moved him up onto the first line, and I watched their game the other night, and Eberle was down in the second. Eberle was even into the third line. That's how much he's moving around, and Purcell has been sticking on that line. He's also been added to the first power play unit. He's the net front presence guy with Draisaitl. They kind of switch it up back and forth because they're both big dudes. He doesn't have any goals, so if you're looking for goals, then just leave Purcell off your list.
Don't pick him up.
0 goals in the last 2 weeks. He's got 5 assists, 5 points, and he's just riding those coattails. So if he falls off that first line, I wouldn't pick him up. But he's on that first line, there's a good chance you're going to get points because Hall and Draisaitl are scoring. So that's why I would pick up Purcell. He's only 8% owned, so he's probably available to most people in leagues.
Cool. What about the back end?
Back end, Shane Gostisbehere.
Oh, gotta be here.
Gotta be
Can't mess
here.
with gotta be here.
The Ghost.
The ghost. That's what Flyer fans.
That's what Flyer fans are calling him, and he's on the third pairing with Medvedev, which is kind of weird because he's also quarterbacking the power play unit. So I don't get why he's playing third pairing minutes,
Yeah.
but on the power play unit. So clearly they know he can move the puck, he can manage an offense. In the past 7 games played, which is in 2 weeks, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points. To get 3 goals from your back end, that's excellent.
Outstanding. That's outstanding.
His
That's
plus
pretty
minus is not going to help you any because he's playing for the Flyers, and the Flyers are just not good. But his ice time is rising, just keeps going up. He's up to 18:33 of ice time.
good. I know we're talking about fantasy, but this guy is going to keep on growing and growing into. He's going to be a great player.
Oh yeah, if you got him on a dynasty or a keeper league, you're gonna have a lot of good years with this kid. He's gonna be good.
Cool. What else?
Netminders. So we talked about Hutchison last week, and he had every opportunity to take that number 1 role and just go with it, and didn't happen.
So who's going to replace him?
Connor Hellebuck.
Wow.
This kid, NHL debut, wins his first game. He only had 15 shots, so clearly the team is playing in front of him, which is a great thing. 3 shots in the first period of your NHL debut. Imagine that. You're just sitting there, take 3 shots, and you're like, is it this easy? Incredible.
Yeah.
He only let 1 goal in. I think he's going to get the share of time until Pavlik comes back, and that's not for a long time. I think he's...
So you're not... Are you telling me you're not taking Garrett Sparks? Come on!
As soon as Reimer comes back, because Reimer's playing so well, I don't think... If you got the chance to play Sparks, or pick up Sparks, by all means, that's cool. Good for you. You got the shutout. He thanked you all for it, or he said you're welcome to everybody on Twitter. That was awesome to see. But,
did you see his interview, post-game interview? It was outstanding.
Yeah, so much emotion. That is awesome to see. Haven't seen that in a long time.
That was a beauty.
Yeah.
First shutout of the season for the Toronto Maple Leafs, done by the rookie Garrett Sparks in his first NHL game. First time in Maple Leaf history that a goaltender has done that, a shutout in his debut. That's outstanding.
Yeah, and I heard that stat, and I was like, there can't be that many. Like, I know the Leafs have been around for so long, but a goalie to win a shutout in his NHL debut for a team, I thought there was just so much extra stat line to that I was like, oh, there's only going to be like 12 or 13. Can you guess how many goalies had the opportunity? 47 goalies, Peter, have tried to do this. He is the 47th goalie to have an NHL debut with the Leafs, and he's the only one to get a shutout.
That's my fantasy pick of the week, folks. Peter's fantasy pick. It's Garrett Sparks. Pick him up, folks. He tells you on his Twitter account, pick me up. You should have last game. You know what? Bernie's not playing well. Maybe take out Sparks. Reimer might be back. Maybe not so soon.
Yeah, and the
But
fact
Woody
that
else.
the fact
Go
that
ahead.
that Babcock went to the press conference, post game press conference, and was like, clearly he's starting next game. If Reimer's not
Yeah,
coming, he's coming on the trip, and he's going to start in Winnipeg. So yeah,
there you go.
if you got a chance to get Sparks, his added transactions went skyrocketing the past 2 days.
Boom.
So my fantasy drops. Feel really bad because it really weighed on me, this Verbata. You came and talked to me after, and you're like, "What the heck, Paul? Why'd you do this?" So I'm afraid to name anybody now, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for you, Peter.
Gotta have a few guys.
All
What do
right,
you recommend?
Jeff Skinner, 41% owned. I do not think this guy should be 41% owned.
Wow.
He's on the third line, playing for Carolina. No way. I would much rather have Elias Lindholm. Drop Skinner, pick up Elias Lindholm. Easy, done.
What's going on with this kid? I don't like him. He's a fancy doodle, as I like to call him. But he hasn't been putting that many points up for a few years now.
Yeah, I don't know if they're not playing him the way he should be played. I don't know if you have to have a certain way to be played, then no, I have no reason for you to be. There's no roster
He's
spot for.
he's still getting first line type minutes. He's getting power play time, but he's just not putting up the points.
Yeah, so get him off your roster. Another guy, Craig Smith. He was a darling last year in fantasy.
Out of
Everybody
nowhere, he came out of
everybody
nowhere.
yeah, everybody got hopped on his hot streak, and nope, I want none of them this year. Get him off my roster. I don't think I own him in any of my leagues, which is quite a feat. So yeah, he's ranked 378th all season, only 7 points. No
He
reason.
was ranked pretty high when the season started.
Yeah, no reason for him to be on your roster right now. So let him go to the free agency. Let somebody else pick him up and be upset at him every game.
Yeah. Who
On the
else?
on the back end, if you want this Gus Disby here, go get or go drop Dennis Weidman. 62% owned. Why is Dennis Weidman 62% owned? He's
He has put up some good numbers in some seasons.
Yeah, he's got 9 points this year, so it's not bad. But
Wow, that's pretty low.
-9,
Yeah.
I have no reason. I don't understand why Dennis Weidman is 62% owned.
He's been pretty good offensively for the Flames since he joined them. I was shocked how well he was playing with them. So I'm not shocked that he's not playing that well right now.
Yeah, and they went out and got Dougie Hamilton, so his ice time got depleted.
Diminished.
Yeah,
Yep.
so another guy, Eric Johnson, he's 55% owned. I tried to find guys that guys are going to own or have on their rosters,
Yeah, yeah,
and Eric Johnson, no reason for him to be on your roster. Only 8 points this year. That's not cutting it.
yeah.
I would
Hasn't been
not
that
have him
good.
on your team. And if you want to go get your fancy Garrett Sparks or my Connor Hellebuck,
Yep.
get rid of Jonas Hiller. He
Again, the Flames.
came back from his injury and showed nothing. I did not like his game whatsoever. So he's playing with a three-headed monster in net. Like they got three
Three
goalies
goalies.
that they're
Yeah,
trying to
and
play. So he's not a number one guy. Get him on the free agency.
Flames are really struggling with goaltending so far this year.
Yeah, and if you can get a guy like Hellebuck that's going to get playing time, by all means, get rid of Hiller. He probably won't get picked up by anybody. So if you did want him back, you could get him back. And another guy, if you got guys like Ranta, Darling, Grice on your free agency, good chance you can drop Ryan Elliott. He's not
He's
playing.
just not getting enough games.
No, there used to be a 1A, 1B there, and he was on the 1A side of that 1A, 1B. But now Jake Allen's taken that role and ran with it. So Elliott's just a regular backup. He's a good backup, but he's not going to get playing time. So you got to hit those minimum goalie starts, and Elliott is not going to help you weekly on that role. So if there's a back to back, go ahead and pick him up. Plan to see that, like we said last week. Go look at the weekly matchups and see where there's a back to back for St. Louis, and if there's one coming up, look at putting Elliott on your team. If not, Leave him on the free agency. I don't think anybody will pick him up if you drop him. So those are my ups and downs, Peter.
All right, we're done with that. Let's go to suspensions. First off, the non-suspension. Everybody's going in an uproar. How is Bruins Bolesky not getting suspended for this Derek Stepan hit? Derek Stepan's injured. How long is he going to be injured for?
4 to 6 weeks with broken ribs. That hurts their Rangers depth big time. Like,
That's huge for the Rangers.
yeah.
But if you look at the hit, it looks clean to me. What do you think, Paul?
Oh, I think it was a solid hard hit.
It was a great hit.
Yeah. Steppen was looking at his pass. What do you get when you look at your pass? You get smoked. And it sucks that he got hurt. Yeah. If I was a Rangers fan, I'd probably be upset at Bolesky too, but there's no reason for you to be looking at your pass. You're playing in the NHL, man. Like, keep your head up. Like, he should not be that close to the boards at that time.
Yeah. He's got to prepare himself for a hit.
And Bolesky even let up. He could have hit him harder, I think. So,
Could have.
yeah.
In my opinion, the only thing is that 3 to 5 feet from the boards. I hate that area. Too many injuries you're having from that zone. In my opinion, the NHL needs to do something about this. Create at least some kind of paint job on the ice. The players need to let up in that area.
Yeah, that could work, I think. I think it would look a little silly, but yeah,
It's tough.
I don't know. These guys play so hard, and they get told to play so hard, and then you're telling them to let up. Like, what are the checkers supposed to do? They get told to finish checks. Bolesky finished his check.
You know what? Again, I'm all with you as well. It's a clean hit. It's a good hit. Is it late? It's barely late. He's got to prepare himself for the hit. But in that 3 to 5 feet area, that's the only problem. He followed through. He went in that area. Bolesky gave it to him, and then he falls right head, neck, shoulder into the boards. It's tough. That's more, in my opinion, the NHL's fault. There's got to be some kind of direction that they do to create less hits in that area.
Yeah, agreed.
The other one, the 1-game suspension to Dubinsky for the cross-check on Crosby. Paul, what do you think?
Oh, here we go. Yep. I thought it was malicious. I did not like it whatsoever. I watched the game live. I saw how dirty the game was getting, and I think Dubinsky, the first cross check to the back of the neck was questionable. Yeah, there's a lot of battles in front of the net, and there's a lot of cross checking that happens. But he cross checked him in the back of the neck, saw him go down, saw him laying on the ice, and then decided, he doesn't look hurt enough. Let's cross-check him again and break my stick over him. And he looked like he wanted to... You remember in Batman when Joker broke the Q stick in half and was like, fight? I think Brandon Dubinsky wanted to use both his pieces of sticks to keep hitting Crosby, but realized, the referee's staring right at me and the play has stopped, and chucked his stick away. And I didn't like how he looked over top of Crosby, but I'm not a fan of Dubinsky whatsoever. So
Wait. What is this? Are you trying to say that Crosby is Batman and Dubinsky is the Joker?
No. Only Dubinsky's the Joker. He's a joke.
He's a joke. They got a huge history in the NHL. It's been going on forever. Playoffs, yes. Blue Jackets, Pens, yes, and even before with the Rangers. It's ridiculous what's going on between them. This is the first time, really, the NHL has stepped in.
It's true, and Dubinsky has even gotten Crosby to drop the gloves, so he's clearly under Crosby's skin. So I didn't like his reaction to what after he did it. Like the cross-check in the back of the head, I winced because it was Crosby, and we know he has a neck injury from a couple years ago, and I was like, oh man, not again. But the way Dubinsky stood over him like a taunt just went right up the back of my spine. I was so angry. All
right, this, in my opinion, it's happened many times. Maybe it happens a lot in the playoffs, and they're more lenient for giving suspension in the playoffs.
Yep.
But in my opinion, on this specific play, he hits him in the back head. That's a penalty. The second cross check isn't as hard, but that's when the stick breaks. Maybe the stick was kind of fractured already on the hit to the head. He gets the second one. It's on Crosby. He's out. Good. Maybe even he should get 4 minutes or longer during the game. Suspension's rough. I think with the whole Crosby thing, he gets suspended because it's Sidney Crosby. Do you really think that Dubinsky would get this penalty if he did that to, say, a defensive defenseman?
Um, no, probably not. They would look at
No.
it, and it's questionable. It's so tough because what are the NHL supposed to do? It's the face of the NHL. Like
Yeah.
they want to market this guy. They do not want to lose him. They probably look at the numbers from when Crosby was out and are like, we lost a lot. Like our marketing went down the drain. Like they've put a lot of money into Crosby as much as we
They got to
might.
protect their golden boy.
Yeah, and so be it that he is a golden boy. I
There
don't
you
think
go.
Crosby signed up for it. Like I don't think he was like, guys, I want to be the golden boy. I think that's just the way it happens, and it the NHL's got to run a business too, right? Like they're putting a lot of money into all the marketing and advertising for Crosby, and if he loses a lot of time again, that NHL might be in trouble.
That's why I'm slightly okay with a 1 game suspension. You're hitting the golden boy. Hey, it's a 1 game. Sit down.
Yeah, agreed. And I would have been okay with 2 games, maybe. Yeah, 2 games.
A little bit more.
I would have been okay with 2 games. That would have not put a smile on my face, but I would have been like, okay, he at least got punished. You can't do that.
That's something. He's
you,
got a record now. Hey,
you,
he's got a record.
yeah, you at least get like it's just like getting a speeding ticket. Yeah, you might get off once or twice, but eventually, once you get that speeding ticket, it's on your record. Like, so
Hey,
I'm
if
all
he
right
does
with it.
something even drastically similar, he could get suspended and it will be longer.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when those guys, the Blue Jackets and Penguins, play again. I will be tuning in for sure.
So, Paul, you got a prospect of the week for us?
I do have a prospect of the week. There was some pretty good prospects this week, but we already mentioned this guy in our team ISOs back, I think 2, 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Connor Garland of the Moncton Wildcats. He's first in the league in scoring. He's a round 5 pick, 123rd overall. How this guy went 123rd overall is beyond me, but it's because of his size. 5'8", 163 pounds. That is tiny. In 3 games this past week, 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points. In three
Wow.
games. Tuesday night, last Tuesday, so full week ago, 6-5 loss against Blainville Boys Brand, 2 assists, 4 penalty minutes. Friday, 7-4 win against Victoriaville, hat trick, 2 assists, plus 3. Saturday, 5-2 win against Shawinigan, 1 goal, 3 assists, plus 3. Connor Garland is our prospect of the week. He's playing great.
Hopefully he keeps on going.
That,
Sounds great.
that's all I got for you, Peter. Prospect of the
All
week.
right. Well, that's this episode. If you want to listen to us more, we're on iTunes, Jablam Hockey, and also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Jablam Hockey on Twitter, at Jablam Hockey, also on Facebook. And stay tuned for us next episode when we have the quarter team report cards for our favorite teams, the Penguins and the Leafs. And we also team ISO the Carolina Hurricanes.
Bye.